All right, folks, so you've got a brand new bookmark that you received yesterday. And what I'm going to ask you to do first is I want you to look on the front side of your bookmark. And I want you to find where you wrote in the assignment box what our next upcoming assessment is. I want you just to double check that real quick, refresh your memory. So we found out yesterday that our next assessment is going to be what? What's it going to be, Chris? Okay, we're going to write an essay about defining heroism, all right? Now, where I'm standing right now, the class bookmark, it's done. I'm not giving you time right now to go ahead and copy the information, but it's here, it's ready for you to take care of whenever there's downtime. So remember, this essay about defining a hero, you're going to be graded on 9 concepts. So you just want to make sure that as soon as you can, that bookmark's done. Okay, now still staying on the front side of your bookmark, we're going to focus on what's on the screen. Okay? Now the bottom left-hand corner of the screen has the 2 learning targets for our activity yesterday. We reflected on previous learning, and we identified what in the heck was the upcoming assessment. So now you're going to answer that blue question next to number 110. How did reflecting on previous learning, how did identifying this new assessment help prepare you to write this new assessment, this new definition essay? So take about 45 seconds, answer that question on the front side of your bookmark underneath activity 110. Page 53 is where we're picking up. And we're going to have a brand new activity. So that means we're going to begin to look at what? Good, learning targets. Now, you've only got one for activity 111. So take a moment, quick diffuse it, figure out what is it that we're going to be looking at. What are we practicing? So for activity 111, we're practicing something called explaining nuances in tone. I bet you know what explaining is. I bet you've heard tone before, but you probably have no idea what nuances are. What you're going to need for today's activity is a highlighter, so pull that out. If you don't have one, no big deal. You guys know what you can do to replace that. And I need you to focus right now with page 53. There's a literary terms box all the way to the right-hand side of the page. You're going to see on this screen a lot of information getting highlighted, a lot of small notes being taken. As long as you're watching the screen, making those notes that you see, this will be quick and easy. All right, so let's really even get into this activity. There's 5 words that you really need to understand. And there's only 1 out of the 5 that I don't think you really know. The other 4, they should be refreshers for you, okay? So here comes some highlighting, okay? First word that we're looking at is tone. Tone and mood get confused a lot. Mood is your emotion associated with something that you read or saw. Tone is the writer or the speaker or the director's attitude about their subject. Okay, second word, diction. You probably learned about this last year. Diction is word choice. Now, the way that tone appears, or the way that tone is conveyed, is by the author's use of diction. So the proper word choice is going to get the proper attitude conveyed. All right, the third word is denotation. Again, this is a word that you're probably familiar with. You just need a refresher on it. Denotation is the direct meaning of a word. And I want you to make yourself a little side note that you see on the screen. Denotation and its cousin word get confused a lot. So I have a little mnemonic device that helps me, and it might help you. The D in denotation stands for dictionary definition. DDD. Denotation, dictionary definition. Okay, the fourth word, connotation. This is the one that gets confused with denotation. Connotation is the emotion associated with a word. So let's give an example here to help you clarify some ideas. Let's say that you are writing a story about a character, and in your mind, this character is mad. Now, if I say that they are walking down the street, does that convey that they're mad at all? John is walking down the street. Is John mad? No. What would be a word instead of walking that would convey that this character is mad or upset? What do you think, Uriah? Stomped. John stomps down the street. All right, now we're getting to a proper attitude here. We're starting to understand that this character is mad. All right, the last word, the new one, watch the screen. Nuance. This is probably one you haven't seen before. Nuance is a subtle difference in meaning. Okay, now think about it. Walking and stomping. Don't they both mean that someone is kind of moving forward? Yeah, but don't you understand how there's a really slight difference between that movement forward?
No. Oh, yes.
So walking is one type of maybe pace, but stomping is a different pace. This person's hurt, jerking movement, and they're mad. All right, now that we've got this info, right below it is the academic vocab box. Just box it in with your highlighter. It's the definition of antonym and synonym. I'm not going to go over it because you guys should be close with what they mean, but if you're not sure, there's your definitions. All right, now we're going to look at this understanding tone. Okay, there's a lot of info in here. We're going to break it down one chunk at a time. We're going to take a few notes on it, just to help you understand what is all this jargon. So, Antonio, can you read the first chunk of text, not the numbers, underneath understanding tone?
Literature, a story of poems or is an important skill in an author who is trying to create a comedy skit with two concepts and language that communicates humor rather than text. Writers purposely select fiction to create a belief.
All right, we're going to take two quick notes. Tone means attitude. So don't get tripped up by the terminology here. If you can't recall what tone means, always convey tone with attitude. All right, now let's take a look at number 1. So, Lauren, could you read number 1 for us?
What is the connection between tone and diction? Many words have a similar denotation, but one must learn to distinguish among the connotations of these words in order to accurately identify meaning and tone. Careful readers and writers understand nuances, subtle differences in word meanings. This means that they recognize the words that have varying levels of meaning.
All right, now you're going to take 2 notes. Ready? Watch the screen. I want you to remember that denotation means definition. I want you to remember that connotation means emotions. All right, Nicole, could you read the examples that are right below number 1?
House, home, road, street, shack, house, and hut, all describe or
Denotate.
denotate a place to live, but each has a different connotation that determines meaning.
Okay, again, just remind yourself. Denotate means define. Connotation means emotion. Now, in that whole kit and caboodle of jargon, there's really one big concept I want you to be able to go, yes, I understand this. Ready? Write it down. You need to make sure to choose the right word for a proper attitude. So your diction needs to be correct. Your word choice needs to be correct to make sure that the proper tone or attitude is easy to understand. All right, Angelica, could you read number 2 for us? All right, so Now, on the screen, it says for you to choose one of 3 words: walk, smile, or talk. I want you to write one of those words down underneath step 2. Just choose one. You know, these are really general terms, but there's variations of each one that help us understand a different tone. So the example that we did together of walk, if I wanted to show that a character is walking angrily, I might say that they stop. If I want to show that a character is maybe menacing or malevolent, instead of smiling, they might smirk. If I want to show a character that's frightened when they're speaking, instead of saying they're talking, I might say that they are stuttering. So what I want you to do with the word that you chose, I want you to take about 30 seconds, write down as many variations of that word as you can, right? Take 30 seconds. All right, I'm going to have you come back with me. And I want you to turn to page 54. So you're just flipping it over. All right, now at the very top of page 54, very top of page 54, you folks should see a list of 7 bolded words, and then variations of those bolded words. So you've got a list of 7 words, and you see their variations. And each one of those variations has a nuance, a slight difference in meaning. Okay? This is what you guys are going to do with this info. You can watch the screen or you can just listen in. You and your family are going to be assigned one of the 7 words. What you're going to do with those words is the following. You're going to identify what is the most intense version of the word, what is the least intense version of the word, and what is your favorite of the definition, not definition, of variations. All right, now real quick, I'm going to show you what you're going to do first. So we're going to skip over which word your family has, and instead I'm going to have you look below the list. You see that paragraph ring? You're going to make a couple of markings. So watch the screen. I'm going to tell you what to mark. All right, now the very first sentence, I want you to go ahead and highlight same denotation as. The next thing I want you to highlight is most intense word. Third, least intense word. And fourth, favorite word. I'm going to give you an example of how this is going to work. All right? So what I'm going to have you do is watch the screen. You're going to see one of those 7 words pop up. Now, the one that I'm going to show and practice with you is angry and its counterparts. Okay? This is what I want you to do. I want you just to look at this list, and I want you to write yourself a really small note. So you can put it in the My Notes column on that page. Take about a minute. I want you to write down which version of angry do you think is the most intense, which one is the least intense, and then which one you go, hey, I like this version of angry. That's a good word choice. So take about a minute and decide which is most intense, least intense, and your favorite. You should be noticing, hey, all of these words, they stem from being angry. So each one has a nuance. Each one has a little bit of a different definition. They all fall under the umbrella of angry, but each one's a little different. Take about 15 more seconds to make a decision which is most, least, and your favorite. And then I'm going to show you what you would do. Take about 5 more seconds. All right, now I don't want you to write this example down. I just want you to watch how this works. All right, right, so my group studied words that had to deal with anger, being angry. Okay, the most intense word that I saw was incensed, which means someone is very angry or enraged. What do you feel incensed if someone stole their car? I would be very angry. The least intense word would be irritated, which means that there's a feeling of slight anger. Why do you feel irritated when someone is kicking their chair? My favorite word, enraged, which means very angry and furious. Why do you feel enraged when someone took credit for their work? Just like some of you are kicking right now, which is not that appropriate. Thank you. All right, this is what I'm going to have you do next. I'm going to share with you which word you have with your group. Now, you're not going to have to define all these words. I've done that for you. I've taken out the guesswork. You're going to be getting an index card. And that index card is for you and a few members of your family. You're going to complete this same process with your own paragraph frame. Okay? So watch the examples to get you thinking, but you're going to get a different set of words. I'm going to go ahead and pass these out, and then if you're not sure what to do, you can raise your hand. Thank you.